On today's episode, I want to briefly talk about my process inside Canva when I design posts. Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. As always, before we jump in, I want to just give a quick intro to Jane, the podcast sponsor. Jane is a clinic management software and EMR, and I have a quick message from them. Waiting on hold isn't anyone's idea of time well spent, especially when you're busy providing exceptional care to your patients and clients and running your clinic. The Jane team knows how valuable your time is, and that's why they work hard to keep call wait times to an average of 2 minutes. This means you can get quick answers to your clinic questions and head into your weekend with one less task on your to-do list. Plus, unlimited phone, email, and live chat support from their team of friendly humans is included in every Jane subscription. So no matter where you're at in your Jane journey, they're always there to lend a hand. To see how you can help take back your time, personal time that is, or clinic management time, head to the show notes. You can jump on the Meet Jane app link and you can book a one-on-one demo or use my code LEX1MO, that's LEX1MO, at sign up for a 1-month grace period applied to your new Jane account. And just so you know and are aware, one of the reasons I switched to Jane when I was running the practice is because of the customer service. So I can personally speak to the fact that their customer service is the best. As always, a huge thank you to Jane for sponsoring Up in My Business. Today's episode is going to focus on my Canva process, my downloading, editing process, because I am not entirely sure what people are doing, and no shame around it if you are doing the method that I'm going to talk about, but I want to make sure that you have access to all your stuff. So I'm just going to give you my little download, if you will, on how I edit, design, duplicate, download things, what have you. Before we jump in, personal business stuff. Personal stuff, not really a big update. I told you we were traveling a lot, and honestly, I'm exhausted. Traveling is really exhausting, but excited for the upcoming trip to my family's house for Christmas, but we are going before Christmas, and we will actually be spending Christmas here in California. So we're leaving and we'll be back here by then. So that will be really nice, but we're leaving, I believe on December 19th-ish. I think it's December 19th, and we're headed there for a couple days, and then we'll be back here. So really excited for that. And then other than that, really the same old. Yesterday, I think it was 38 in the morning that was on Saturday. And then it was like 75 in the middle of the day. It's so wild, and the weather is insane. And like I said, I talked to somebody else who is not from here, and she also has a hard time with the seasons. And so I feel very validated. It just doesn't feel like December. It honestly feels like the time passes by and you don't even know where you're at or what day of the week it is. Not because it's, because you have a job that you like and you're happy and whatever. It's literally because the weather just never changes. It's just a mind-blowing thing. And I don't think people who grew up here really understand it, because they're just like, yeah, it's December. It does change. And I'm like, I think different. It does not feel like the East Coast, New York, New England weather changes, which I'm very happy about. I'm not here for snow. I see people where I used to live posting snow pictures, and I'm like, I don't want that. That looks terrible. So I'm really not a fan of snow or cold. So I'm happy about it. It's a champagne problem, but it's also people ask, like I said, I do not know what month it is sometimes. I'm like, I can't even tell. So still getting used to that after being here for a year and a half now, which is also kind of crazy. Business updates. The biggest thing is on Mondays, my Monday Minute goes out. I usually have a quick tech tip, website tip, something you can essentially take away, go do. It's very tactical. Sometimes I lean into a little bit more of like a lesson or teaching moment as far as like it's not related to tech. And then sometimes I'm selling in those emails. So if you are on my email list, you do get the Monday Minute. And also, if you don't want to be on my list, you can unsubscribe at any time. Inside my Monday Minute, I am going to start adding like a little business update section at the bottom, just because I don't want to lead with it, but I do get questions in response to those emails. So I'm just going to start putting some business updates in that little section, just so people are aware. If you're not listening to the podcast, you're not really getting an update on my availability and what have you. So I'm just putting that in my newsletter as well. Speaking of availability, I am officially booking into February for Do It in a Days, any sort of semi-custom website and course building, tech automation, all that jazz. And I am full for my retainer right now. I may have an opening in February, but not January. So with that being said, if you are looking to get on my list, my wait list, please let me know. I would love to work with you, love to get you on my list, and then you'll be notified when a spot opens up. I also, just like speaking from people I've talked to in the past couple of weeks, I don't owe an explanation for my schedule, but I will say that my schedule is full. I operate on mostly my retainer model. So I have retainer clients. My hours are saved for my retainer clients, and between Christmas, Thanksgiving, and then the live events that we're hosting, or live event that I'm hosting in January, I don't really have a ton of time. I do not have a ton of time open for discovery calls and coaching calls right now. And also I will say, like, that's the value of my retainer model. So I never will have a plethora of calls open or call times open because of my retainer model. And that's the value of it, is you actually have time on my schedule that you don't need to wait 2 months for. So that is honestly, like, that is the whole point of the retainer. So if I had a ton of availability, it wouldn't really make sense. I mean, I guess you get a discount and you get guaranteed access to me, but, beyond that, if I didn't have the, wait time, it wouldn't really make the most sense to be on the retainer, because you could just get access to me whenever. So yes, I am definitely booking out a month, 2 months, sometimes 3. And for that, I'm just super grateful that I have so many people who want to work with me, and also super grateful for my retainer clients, because I'm able to set up my business in a way that really allows me to serve them. And lastly, I was talking to my accountant, Sandy, Fit Money Coach. She talked me into buying a new desk chair. So I say she talked me into it. Basically, she just told me that she was buying one because I had told her about a rocking chair that I bought for my office, because, sensory seeker over here. I bought a rocking chair for my office on a huge Black Friday sale. And then she was like, "Oh, is it this chair?" And she sent me over a desk chair. And I was like, "No, but I've been rocking with like a $40 Amazon chair for probably about 2 years now, maybe even more. No, it's been more than that. Probably like 3 years at this point. With this $40 Amazon chair that, like, I don't know if you can hear it squeak when I move around as I'm recording, but it's squeaky and it's not nice. And I sit in it for a lot of hours per week. So I was like, "Oh, is this chair nice, Sandy?" And she said yes. And so I bought a desk chair as well, because I spend a lot of hours at my desk, and I was like, why am I sitting in this uncomfortable chair that makes my back hurt? Like, how dumb is it? So I got a new chair as well. Really excited. We'll share more about it once I get it. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Like I said, today I want to talk about my process for posting on Canva and how I edit things. I do have a social media post about this, but because I know that, like, everyone doesn't see my social posts and everyone doesn't listen to the podcast, I am sharing it in both places. And sometimes voice helps. So the biggest thing that I want to get across is, one, I think people have this assumption that my Canva is organized. Just want to validate everyone in here or everyone listening that my Canva is a hot mess. If you open it up, there's designs everywhere. I don't have things in folders. Like, it's not organized. So I don't know what fantasy world people live in that have time to organize things in folders, but it's certainly not the world that I live in. So everything is a mess. So if your Canva is also a mess, amazing. Like, welcome to the club. Two, I will tell you that I have designs. When I go to make a social post, I'm not making a new design every time. I use the same 3 different templates. One's a reel template, one's a portrait template with a photo, and one's a portrait template for a swipe. And I use the same templates over and over again. And then I also use just a photo in general. So I have 4 different ones that I cycle between with no rhyme or reason. It's not like I don't post every 3rd day with the grid. Like, it's just no. But I have those 4 templates that I use. Now, inside Canva, if I open up one design, it only lets you have, I think it's 500 slides. But if you've seen my social media posts, I have a lot of swipe posts. So I will stay in the same design until I hit 500. And then I will duplicate 2 of the slides to a new design. And then I'll start designing in that one and just title it the month that I started. So I have like January 2024, August 2024. And it's just me making another copy of that template, because inside the template itself, I open up the design, there are 500 pages there with, I'm going to say like 100 different social media posts, because when I design things, I go into an old one, I go into my current template. So right now I'm in, I believe, August 2024, and I will take the cover slide and the second slide of my swipe posts. I will duplicate those, and then I'll move them to the top of the design, and I'll make my new post. So what I'm saying to you is I never delete things. I don't delete posts. I don't delete text off posts. Before I edit anything, I duplicate the cover and I duplicate the second slide, and then I remake the post with the new content. That way I always have the old content. And that's the biggest takeaway here. It's like, always have your old content, because then you can reuse it, right? So are there ways to go download your social media posts? Yes, there are. Like, you can go download an old post and repost it. But for me, I change my branding. So now at this point, if I post an old post, I first have to change the branding on it. If I didn't have access to the old post, now I have to retype everything. Well, that's annoying and time consuming. So the biggest thing that I always push people to do and have is the old content and copies of your old content. So if you have a template that you use, ideally you open up that template inside of Canva, you duplicate that template before you start designing, and then you put your new content on the duplicated slide, right? It's not a duplicated design. It's just a page inside the design that you're duplicating. And I'll link the social media posts so you can see the video of me talking about this. But the reason being is now I have access to all of my content, old content, and I'm able to repost things, a couple of months down the road. I do this a lot. Like, if I don't have an idea that day, because I'm a create content on the fly type of person, if I don't have an idea, if I'm traveling, I will post an old piece of content, because oftentimes people aren't scrolling back. And 2, as Shantae would say, once is never. So I will repost things, and oftentimes the second time I post it, it will either do better or it will do just as well. So I don't even care how the post does. I'm just putting it out there. I know that it'll help someone, or I'm hoping it will help at least one person, and that's good enough for me. But I always like to make sure I have my old design so that I have the ability to repost it if I want to, need to, or have the desire to, right? So that's how I design things. And obviously when you export it, whether you're exporting on the phone or you're exporting on the computer, you can select what pages export. So if your design takes up page 1, 2, 3, 4, when you go to export that design, you just select to save pages 1, 2, 3, and 4, because that's today's post. And yesterday's post might have been page 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So as always, duplicating the content before I change anything inside the template. And then I change the template content to the new content in that duplicated page, or in the duplicated pages, never deleting old posts. And sometimes I have posts that, do really well, like my email signature template post. I'll actually pull that one out into its own design in Canva. So I'll just duplicate it into a new design. That way that post is just sitting alone in Canva as well. It's kind of like another step, but now I have that post as one design and there's no posts around it. So when I want to post that one, I just go into the email template design and I just download it and call it a day. But yeah, that's really the biggest message here is don't delete your old stuff. I see people just backspace content and then put their new content in. And now you don't have, an original of that old design anywhere. It's just as it exists on Instagram. God forbid Instagram goes down and you can't get access to that design, that content's gone. And then also, if you ever have a change, or if you want to edit the content too, because if I'm going through and I'm posting something and it's an old piece of content and I'm bringing it back and I'm posting it again, I'll go through it to make sure it's still relevant. And if I want to reword something, I have the ability to do that. If you don't have duplicates of your stuff, if you don't keep your old stuff and you just always, erase your content, then you can't do that. And that's obviously really frustrating because now you have to redo the whole thing instead of just a couple of words, if you will. So want to just talk about that briefly and also validate the fact that messy Canva is fine, because if I need all of my posts with ConvertKit to come up, I can just search ConvertKit in the bar, and then every post that has ConvertKit in it will pop up. For me, obviously that's all of my designs, but you can search for specific words within Canva as well. So the fact that my Canva is a hot mess, I'm like, whatever, I will find it. The search bar is very handy. All right. That's really all I have for you. If you're not currently using this method, I highly recommend you switch to it so you always have access to your old stuff. It makes editing easier. It makes reposting things easier. It just makes everything super easy. And if you are using this, amazing. I hope that you are reposting things every once in a while and have found value in not deleting your old content, because truthfully, it makes a huge difference for me as well. All right, friends, that's all I've got for you. I thank you so much for listening. I always, really appreciate everyone who DMs and emails and says they enjoy the episodes. And, we're coming up on episode number 100. I'm considering adding video for episode 101, but we will see. I'm not entirely sure yet, so stay tuned. If you think that's something you would want to watch, then let me know, because obviously if you want it, then it's easier for me to say yes and go forward with it. So thank you so much again. I will catch you next time.